Visa forces Subscribestar to censor fictional content or die as a website for brand protection. More big company, big finance censorship for legal products telling you what you can and can't spend your own money on.
Thousands of gamers, developers, content creators, and artists are about to lose their source of revenue overnight thanks to Subscribestar being forced to change their terms of service because of Visa and MasterCard payment.
And you know why they're doing it to Subscribestar? You know why they're doing it to Subscribestar? Because Subscribestar was the free speech alternative to Patreon. That's what it was. And being a free speech alternative is inherently labeled as right-wing. Now, obviously, Subscribestar is not actually right-wing. Is there anything right-wing about incest or rape, furry stuff, promotion of gore? Is any of that right-wing? No. It's just anti-censorship. It's pro-freedom, which is, right-wing. They're coming after them specifically for political purposes using a think of the children argument.
Processors in general, all in the name of protecting their brand, protecting their brand image. And so they will stop you, a legal adult, from purchasing content that's legal, by the way, because they want to protect their brand. And so
it's not because they want to protect their brand. And I don't know if Chibi is saying that because he believes it. I don't know if he's just not willing to get into the weeds of it. But to protect their brand is an absolute lie. No one has ever in their fucking life said, I'm going to cancel my Visa or my MasterCard because it allows me to purchase Playboy. That's never happened. This is a manipulation tactic to control what you spend your hard-earned money on to force a societal change. Brand protection is nothing but an excuse. Yes, correct, Matt. Nobody even thinks about Visa when they make a payment.
We have seen this song and dance time and time again. Once again, another site has fallen victim to payment processors meddling and censoring content. Now, before I go any further, please share this video, leave a like on this video for more people become aware of this, because this is some very important news to share with people. They need to be aware of this because there's a lot of people that use Subscribestar. There's a lot of content creators and artists that use, Subscribestar.
And those content creators that use Subscribestar, most of them are right-wing or right-wing coded, as the kids say these days. Why? Because people that believe in freedom, people that believe in an anti-censorship, are by and large more often to be libertarian at best, right-wing at worst.
That need to be aware of this situation, because this might come out of nowhere for a lot of people and hit them in the side of the face, and they'll be potentially without a source of income or money for a while, which would be very bad, obviously. It might cause them to go homeless, lose their job. Well, they'll lose their job if they're living off of art. So they'll lose their job, they'll go homeless, not be able to pay bills. Very bad situation. So,
No. Dad Otaku, I think that you're incorrect. I don't think most of them are NSFW. I think that a fair portion of them probably are. Most people that use Subscribestar are people that got burned by Patreon because Patreon effectively booted them off the platform for having politics they disagree with. Subscribestar didn't get its big boom until Patreon basically purged right-wingers.
Please like and share this video for more people become aware of it. Payment processors like Visa and MasterCard are back at it again with censorship of the internet, and this time they've set their sights on Subscribestar, which is an alternative site to Patreon. And before I get into this nuclear level bad news that came out a few hours ago, we need to talk about how we got here to begin with. So most of you may be well aware of payment processor meddling and censorship thanks to the...
I'll tell you how we got here. Little thing in 2014 called Gamergate, because all roads lead back to Gamergate.
breaking news that happened last summer in 2025, where Steam and itch.io got effectively neutered and their balls cut off because of payment processors having so much power that they could wield to censor the internet at any given time. And Valve, aka Steam, was effectively unable to stop the overwhelming amount of censorship that payment processors was forcing onto them, to where Steam had to literally incorporate an entirely new policy, Policy 15, to say that they will bow down and kiss the boots of payment processors if they want them to remove a game, if they want them to censor a game, or not allow a game on their platform. They will kiss the boots of Visa and MasterCard or payment processors in general just to be able to continue to operate as a platform. And what this more or less stated for the entire world to see last year is that Valve, that is a massive company that even right now is fighting class action lawsuits and many different people trying to sue them and is actively fighting back for gamers, decided to completely not even fight back remotely against payment processors.
So, well, it's not that they chose not to fight back. There was no avenue to do so. Because if this event taught us anything, and actually it didn't even start with Steam/Valve/itch.io, and I'm surprised Chibi of all people didn't bring this up. It actually started in mid to late 2024 when Visa and MasterCard were attacking manga, completely legal manga sites and apps in Japan. And then, this is about November of 2024, if I recall, because I covered it. You can check out the videos I did on my channel, even though they're pretty old. And then they moved their sites to itch.io and Valve afterwards. But anyway, this showed the world that Visa and MasterCard and all these payment processors, PayPal, are more powerful than any singular first world government. Why? Well, because the US government bows and kowtows to them. The UK bows and kowtows to them. Australia bows and kowtows to them. And so is Greece. So is Brazil, even though they're not necessarily first world, but you get my point. The point is everybody. Why? Because even all these first world governments send their money through Visa and PayPal. And if you watched my old videos on this that I did back in July and June and whatnot of 2025 when all this was going down, I even brought up on screen the people, the politicians that Visa and MasterCard donate to. This is a uniparty problem. Visa and MasterCard both donate heavily to both sides of the aisle, Republicans and Democrats. This is effectively a legal lobby to make sure that, at least in the U.S., but obviously we can assume, just based on the U.S., the whole first world governments the world over, they play both sides. That way, hey, if there's one thing that Democrats and Republicans in America are going to agree on, it's that if one company's giving them both money, they're both going to agree to do what that company says. So Valve has no recourse for fighting back because every single country, first world country at least, doesn't even have the power because they run everything they have through these payment processors. These payment processors are effectively the most powerful entities in the world.
That they decided to effectively say, we give up, we can't do anything, okay, we bow down, master, we will kiss your boots, master. That's basically what they did, which is very alarming. It really shows just...
Correct, Caravaggio. This is not about money. It's much darker than that. It is about forcing a societal change using your money because you can't live life without money.
The overwhelming power that these card companies have. And so when you look at like something like itch.io, that was obviously a relatively much smaller, site in comparison to Steam, they stood effectively no chance. Now, itch.io did make a public statement about this, last year, which I covered in a separate video, and they more or less tried to do their best to be able to be transparent and try to help out people that were making fictional content, games that would be deemed problematic by a lot of people, or in this case, deemed problematic by card companies. They still wanted do the best they could to be able to help these creators in any way they possibly could, which really showed that they cared and they were in a very bad situation. And the reason why, for instance, itch and Steam even did this remotely to begin with is because payment processors control the money flow. For instance, if they cut you off, if they don't allow you to use, for instance, Visa, MasterCard, or PayPal, or whatever, you can't make any money. So think about it like this.
You can't make money. You can't spend money. You can't track money. You can't do you can't do anything.
You're a massive site. Your site is supposed to sell products. For instance, you put a game on your site, and obviously for a person to be able to make a purchase of a game, they have to use a card, Visa, for instance, or MasterCard or PayPal. And if these companies basically say, screw you, we don't want to work with you anymore, then this site might go belly up in under 24 hours. Like,
not even might. Likely will. Steam, even as massive as a private company as Valve is, they would not have been able to survive this.
The cost of maintaining the server
is a big part of the BRICS idea, alternative financial services. Correct. Yes, it absolutely is.
And keeping these games on the platform or whatever would be very expensive, and these companies could not survive.
What else is there? When you say what else is there, do you mean what else is there in terms of payment processors? There are a few smaller independent payment processor companies. But because they're small and independent, most sites and whatnot don't support them, and even if they did, 99% of the world population isn't using them. So it's the equivalent of a fucking indie game that gets lost in the annals of Steam. Like, it's there, but you got a 2 concurrent player count.
If they don't have access to the main payment processing cards that most of the entire world actually uses. So because of this, these card companies are able to stranglehold the market, strangle you to death if you don't comply with them, and that's why they're able to get away with this, because they have an effective monopoly on the entire world and are able to get away with anything because nobody can really fight them. They control the entire cash flow. Now, with that being said, prior to all this happening and a lot of people within the mainstream becoming aware of this, the point of the matter is that this was happening even prior to that. And a lot of people might remember what happened back in 2017 and 2018 with Patreon. And this is where we get into the relevant stuff of what's going on with Subscribe Star that I started this video off with. So Patreon back in 2017, 2018, they had a massive exodus of content creators and artists from their platform because Patreon had to change the terms of service or they would be in a very similar situation as what happened to Steam and itch.io last year.
Yeah, but this is a little bit different. Patreon didn't do it, at least to my knowledge, to bow and kowtow to the payment processors. Patreon did it because they were bowing and kowtowing to leftist political pressure. They basically openly declared that they were a leftist company and they were actively going to engage in right-wing censorship. Now, if there was a payment processor angle to it, I didn't hear about it. I don't remember it. But I remember following this story very closely when it happened because it affected a lot of content creators that, are still active today. I mean, we're definitely some of the big, anti-SJW, anti-woke, anti-leftist, all that sort of stuff, during the first Trump administration. So, I mean, maybe there's a payment processor angle, but most of it just was Patreon's a garbage leftist company that was actively participating in the techno-global censorship campaign against the right wing.
For instance, payment processors like PayPal, Visa, and MasterCard were pulling out, and if Patreon didn't decide to remove problematic fictional content or content in general that, doesn't go along with their brand, then, Patreon would die overnight. And so, because of this, Patreon took a lot of radical steps to ban problematic content creators or content that, payment processors didn't approve of, and so it effectively neutered the platform, and a lot of artists and creators lost their potential revenue stream overnight, and so a lot of them tried to figure out alternatives, either by going through, different sites like Fanbox, like Pixiv, or they went to, Subscribe Star, which is the main discussion point of this video, which I'm about to get into. But basically, Patreon started to become very censorship heavy. A lot of people didn't really want to interact with their platform anymore, and a lot of people that continued to use Patreon, what they did to get around this type of restrictions was to either, connect to a Discord server, to where you have to, go to a Discord server to be able to view the content that's supposed to be posted on Patreon, but now you have to go to Discord to be able to access it, or they have some form of, different link to, a Google Drive or Megalink or whatever to be able to access the this content because of the new restrictions and censorship that Patreon was now starting to use on their site. So it pretty much killed creative expression and freedom of expression within art and just content creators. And now in like 2026, you have content creators on the platform that could just get banned instantly for no reason. Just they're gone. And they're like, what? Like, I believe there was
I literally, I don't remember who it was. Like 2 or 3 days ago, I woke up to a content creator on X saying that overnight while they were sleeping, Patreon had just completely wiped their shit. Completely wiped them out overnight. There was no appeal process. There was no, like, they just woke up and their Patreon was gone. Patreon is still bowing and kowtowing to ideological bullshit from the left. I wish I remember what creator it was. I'd bring it up on X.
a content creator that did a
I think it was a cosplayer, in fact. I'm pretty sure it was a cosplayer I follow. Anyway.
video like on a very controversial topic in terms of America when it comes to scandals and stuff, and they literally got their entire account nuked in literally one day after being a part of the platform for like a decade plus, and they've made a lot of controversial content.
Or maybe it was a VTuber. That doesn't matter.
It's very obvious kind of what's going on, and Patreon has become very sanitized and safe to be able to bow down to card companies. And so now we get into this situation with what's happening with Subscribestar. So Subscribestar is a very interesting platform because obviously it is an alternative. It is a straight up alternative to Patreon, and this is where a lot of content creators that got removed from Patreon went to this site to be able to survive and be able to make money, to be able to continue being an artist. You get the point. And the very interesting part about Subscribestar Adult, as you can see here by the icon, to even be able to access this, by the way, you have to identify yourself with ID. Like, straight up, I'm just going to let you know. To be able to access this part of this site, you actually have to either do a face scan or give over your governmental ID just to be able to see what's on this site. And
it doesn't end, boys. It never ends. This goes back to everything we've been talking about during this stream. This is how the New World Order, the Illuminati, the WEF, whatever it be, this is how they take control. They want everything, every piece of biometric data. You are the product. Tyler Oliveira had his Patreon shit. Maybe it's Tyler Oliveira I'm thinking of. I could swear it was like a cosplayer or VTuber. Maybe it was Tyler Oliveira that I'm thinking of. Anyway, this is the ultimate vie for control. And it's something that is almost impossible to fight against. Because the think of the children argument is such a strong argument to fucking idiots who value safety over freedom. Without acknowledging that, or even considering the possibility that, why would their government want to keep them safe? You're a nameless, faceless number to them. You're a line of code in the Matrix.
if you do not, you can't access it. And so what I'm trying to say here is prior to this change in compliance that it's very obvious payment processors are trying to do to them, you already had to basically admit that you're an adult. So what these card companies are more or less saying is that they don't want adults being able to look at adult content. They think it's a brand risk.
And again, it is not a brand risk. Like, I want Shibi to be smarter than this, because this is a classic case of he's right about the outcome, but he's wrong about the reasoning. The brand risk is a cover. It's a facade.
Just like, look, nobody when they're purchasing anything, purchasing any content with their credit card, debit card, or whatever, is thinking about that card company. The only thing they're thinking of is, can I use my money? Am I allowed to use my money? Or I want to make this purchase. That's basically it. Like, they want to use their money in their bank to be able to make a purchase. They're not thinking about, oh, how is Visa going to feel about this? How is PayPal going to feel about this? How is MasterCard going to feel about me buying?
Yes. Hey, okay, hold on. So he gets it. He does get it. That people aren't thinking about what's, MasterCard going to think, what's Visa going to think, what's PayPal. So if people aren't thinking about it, and Visa and MasterCard and PayPal know that people aren't thinking about it, then it doesn't logically hold up that it would be a brand risk. It only logically holds up that that would be a cover story.
They have no business even caring at all about what you purchase. If it's a legal purchase, legal in your country.
I think they're trying to get all the adults to mark themselves as adults so they can spy on unmarked users. No. They spy on us already. If you got a fucking, listening device in your house, or even your own cell phone, they're listening to us already. This isn't about spying on us. They're already spying on us. Edward Snowden proved that years ago. No, this is about controlling you. This is about getting your biometric data so that you can be controlled. Your identity is currency, and this is about them taking over. This is playbook for the one world government.
There should be nothing wrong with it whatsoever. And that's
You can paint over your phone camera all you want. That speaker's still there.
the big issue here, is that these companies are strangleholding the market and slowly killing off any form of creative expression by being very tyrannical.
Okay, again, Nacho. Kids, adults, it doesn't matter. If you have a cell phone, you're being spied on. There's a whole lot of 12-year-olds out there with cell phones. Like the age is irrelevant. It's not about spying. They've been spying on us since the NSA was invented. All people, all races, all countries, all sexual orientations, all religions, all ages. You're overcomplicating it when you're saying that the spying has been exposed for years now. The Patriot Act made spying on anyone and everyone basically fully fucking legal. This is about now, since the spying happened first, so the control could happen later, and now we're in the control phase.
Puritan and trying to sanitize everything they possibly can. And obviously, when you look at the stuff that's now in the terms of service that's being added for Subscribe Star, a lot of people are going to twist their, noses and be like, ew, why would you want to see this type of stuff? Why would you want this and all that? But here's the big thing that I've been saying for a very long time. Even if you don't like this content, like you absolutely hate this content and fictional media and stuff like that, the point of the matter is that it does not just stop at that. It doesn't. Look at the current state of Patreon. You can do vanilla content, random vanilla content, fictional content, and it's removed. The point here is that it starts off with extreme stuff, or stuff that might be deemed extreme, and then it slowly tumbles down the hill.
And it's not even slow at this point. It used to be slow. We used to call it the slippery slope. Frankly, I don't ever want to hear the term slippery slope again. It's just a fucking drop off a cliff.
And becomes much worse. That is what I've always talked about, and that's exactly what's happening here. So a lot of artists are effectively about to lose any form of money and be able to even survive being an artist, not being able to survive being an artist, on the platform because of these changes. Because like I said, a lot of people that left Patreon went to the site to be able to survive. So it's just fundamentally horrendous news. And I guess I need to talk about the other elephant in the room. They added a big section about compliance with payment processors, so we know who's behind it again. And this is a big indication. This is a very big indication on who is causing this, because this is the exact same thing that happened to Patreon. This is the exact same thing that happened with, like, for instance, DL site and a bunch of other Japanese sites. This is the same thing that happened with Steam and itch.io. It is a common, reoccurring thing. When you see these terms of service change and add in compliance with payment processors, it's very obvious who's pushing this behind the scenes. And it's
very obvious that they control every single first world government, or not necessarily control, but at least have more power than them, because you see the same thing happening in Japan, Australia, the US, the UK. If these payment processors have the power to affect all these companies, or all these countries' governments, and all these governments bow and kowtow to them, then who's actually in control?
This isn't necessarily Subscribe Star trying to do it, it's payment processors strong-arming them, and if they don't, they're dead. Their entire site just straight up dies. And so you can understand why they're doing this, because they can't fight back. And I would like to reinstate this. If someone like Steam can't fight back, it's fucking over. Like, none of these littler sites can even fight back. So, the big point here is what's going to happen now, as a lot of these artists are either going to try to continue to stay on this platform, but then get banned, and then they're going to freak out, and then they're going to try to move somewhere else, which either might be probably Fanbox or Pixiv to some degree, or some other site that's yet to be created. But what's going to happen here is a lot of people are going to shift their content away from this site, a lot of people are going to lose their accounts, and potentially...
And then Subscribestar might just die anyway, because people already left Patreon for Subscribestar. So we know these people are willing to leave a site if it's not meeting their needs. So now when all these people leave Subscribestar, well, Subscribestar's got no one left. It dies too.
Never make art or content again. It's legitimately just heartbreaking and sad to see, because I've already seen a lot of artists talk about the situation, a lot of game creators as well, absolutely devastated by this news, because it puts a lot of people at risk. And like I continuously have said, it doesn't just stop at the content you dislike, the icky content that you hate. It gets worse.
Dinjay Jr. just right in the comments. I already deleted my account on Subscribestar. Bingo, bango, bongo. Just proving your boy's point. Shout out. Thank you.
It will continue. And so, if you are a true person that wants to defend...
How can a new free speech competitor come up to replace Subscribestar if they just get hit with the same... Exactly, Lessus. Right. Since going... Alright. So the U.S. government tried cracking down on free speech. It didn't work. So now, instead of going to the government, they're appealing to the even bigger fish. How do you fight that? That's the question. Unfortunately, I don't have the answer for that one.
Fictional content, you have to understand you got to defend content that you personally dislike as well. But the issue here is if you advocate for the censorship of content you deem icky or problematic in fictional content, eventually that stuff will start to trickle on down to other stuff that you actually do care about and you do like. And the people that already been censored won't be there to back you up because they've already been long gone and censored, and they won't speak up for you anymore. And this is what's happened with Patreon. It's what's happened with other sites and stuff. So it's more or less, it's not good. And that's my big argument here, because a lot of people don't understand this. To actually defend freedom of expression with an artwork and content like this, to create stuff like with art, you have to understand you have to defend the stuff that you dislike, the stuff that you don't like as well, because if you allow that to be censored, eventually you will be censored as well. Now, as for what Subscribestar is going to do, what their options are available to them, there is a few. First off, compliance, which it's clear that's what they're doing, but the other option is to try to fight back, which probably is not going to really do anything at all because of how much power these card companies have, and if Steam is not fighting back, Subscribestar is 100% not fighting back. And then the other option is that they comply, but what they try to do is they try to make their own payment processor, which a lot of Japanese sites are trying to do now, thanks to the overwhelming amount of power that these payment processors have.
Yeah, but that's not viable. I mean, it'd be great in theory, but the amount of time and money and everything it takes to start your own payment processor, I mean, it is such a massive effort for very little payoff because most people don't even know about this happening. It's pretty much a lost battle out the gates. I hate saying it, and I hope I'm wrong. It'd be great if I was wrong, but I don't think it's viable.
And MasterCard, for example, against the Japanese sites. So that is a way that they could fight back, but most likely the main course of action they're going to do, they're going to play it safe, they're going to more or less be very overzealous with their censorship and become the next Patreon, and a lot of creators are going to lose their jobs, money, and revenue overnight, and they're going to flee to another site that might house them for the time being, until eventually they're also targeted by payment processors.
Exactly.
It's only a matter of time, which is,
Riot's even nicer than what I would suggest, Kamchi Kamichi.
depressing. It's really depressing to say that, but it's the truth. So, with that being said, I just wanted to bring this news to everybody's attention. Please share this around, let more people become aware of it, because there is a lot of content creators that have no idea probably that this is happening, and so please let them know, let them see this video, let them know about what's happening, because it is very important. A lot of people are about to lose their jobs. So, be safe, stay healthy, and I love you guys. Chibi out.
And that is that. That tells you all you need to know. There is the link. Put it in chat. Make sure to give it a like, sub, the whole nine. This is one of the few times where, like, again, I don't know how to fight this. This is, someone in chat said a game of whack-a-mole. And since they're more powerful than all these world governments combined, how do you fight against it? I mean, Donald Trump introduced legislation in the form of an executive order several months ago. I don't know that that's passed. It's a nice thought, but it only really protects U.S. users, and there's honestly loopholes to it, and I called them out, so it doesn't really work the way a lot of people think it works. So we're just gonna see where this goes, and I don't know. I hate saying it, but I don't know, and I'm not gonna pretend to have the answers or talk about something I don't know about. I'm just gonna hope it works out.